While the world watched the ground war in Vietnam, a new kind of conflict was being waged 30,000 feet in the air. And no, I'm not talking about any dogfighting. For decades, military commanders have dreamed of controlling the elements, using the sky itself as a weapon. During the Vietnam War, that dream became a classified reality. It was called Operation Popeye. Its motto was simple, catchy, and terrifying: make mud, not war. This is the story of the first time in history a superpower successfully weaponized the weather, the secret technology that made it possible, and the political firestorm that ensured it would never happen again. To understand why the Pentagon wanted to control the rain, you have to understand the Ho Chi Minh Trail. This 12,000-mile network of paths and roads was the lifeblood of the North Vietnamese resistance. It moved thousands of tons of supplies and thousands of soldiers into the South every month. The U.S. Air Force had tried everything to stop it. They dropped more bombs on these jungle paths than were dropped in all of World War II. But the trail was resilient. Under the canopy of the triple canopy jungle, the repairs were fast, and the supplies kept moving. But the Pentagon noticed a pattern. During the monsoon season, the trail slowed to a crawl. The dirt turned to soup. The trucks sank to their axles. If the military couldn't bomb the trail out of existence, they decided they would simply make the monsoon last forever. The science behind Operation Popeye was based on a process called cloud seeding. Every raindrop needs a seed, a tiny particle of dust or salt to cling to before it can fall. In the mid-1960s, scientists at the Naval Ordnance Test Station discovered that silver iodide was the perfect artificial seed. When silver iodide is introduced into a supercooled cloud, one that is below freezing but still liquid, it triggers a massive chain reaction. The water droplets freeze into ice crystals, releasing latent heat. This heat causes the cloud to surge upward, sucking in more moisture from the surrounding air. The result isn't just a light drizzle. It is a massive, localized intensification of a storm. By seeding the clouds over the panhandle of Laos, the U.S. military believed they could extend the monsoon season by weeks, turning the Ho Chi Minh Trail into a permanent bog. The mission fell to the 54th Weather Reconnaissance Squadron, known as the Storm Finders, operating out of Udorn Royal Thai Air Force Base. These crews flew modified WC-130 Hercules and RF-4C Phantom jets. The equipment was highly specialized. The planes were fitted with pyrotechnic flare dispensers on their fuselages. These weren't weapons in the traditional sense. They were canisters filled with silver iodide and lead iodide. A crew member would trigger the dispenser, and the flares would ignite as they fell into the heart of a burgeoning cumulus cloud. Over the course of 5 years, the Storm Finders flew over 2,600 sorties. They dropped nearly 50,000 silver iodide cartridges into the skies of Southeast Asia. The technical success was undeniable. Rainfall in the targeted areas increased by an estimated 30%. The monsoon season, which usually ended in early autumn, was stretched nearly 45 days longer than usual. Despite its scale, Operation Popeye was one of the best-kept secrets of the war. It was so classified that the Secretary of Defense, Robert McNamara, reportedly didn't even tell the CIA or the State Department about it for the first 2 years. The crews were sworn to absolute silence. Even their flight logs were scrubbed. They weren't bombing. They were weather sampling. Why such extreme secrecy? Because weather modification was a legal minefield. If the U.S. acknowledged they were manipulating the environment, they could be held responsible for floods in civilian areas, crop failures, or even unintended ecological disasters in neighboring countries. For 5 years, the Storm Finders operated in a vacuum of information. But secrets of this magnitude have a way of leaking. The first crack in the armor appeared in 1971. A legendary investigative journalist named Jack Anderson broke the story in the New York Times. He described a secret rainmaking project that was being used to wash out the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Shortly after, The Pentagon Papers were leaked, confirming that the military had indeed been experimenting with environmental warfare as early as 1966. The public reaction was one of shock and deep ethical concern. The idea that a government could play God with the atmosphere, potentially causing floods that could kill civilians or destroy the food supply of an entire region, was a line many were not prepared to cross. The political fallout landed in the lap of Senator Claiborne Pell. He was the chairman of the Senate Subcommittee on Oceans and International Environment, and he was horrified by what he discovered. In 1972, Pell hauled military officials before Congress. The testimony was evasive. Generals argued that increasing rain was a humanitarian way to fight, as it didn't involve direct killing. But Pell saw the bigger picture. He argued that if the world entered a weather arms race, the entire planet's ecosystem could be held hostage. He famously stated, "We are at a stage in our history where we must decide whether we are going to use our knowledge for the benefit or the destruction of mankind." The hearings revealed that the U.S. had spent nearly $15 million on the project, roughly $120 million in today's currency, all to turn the jungle into mud. The scandal sparked by Operation Popeye changed international law forever. In 1977, the United Nations drafted the Environmental Modification Convention, or ENMOD. This treaty strictly prohibits the military use of environmental modification techniques that have widespread, long-lasting, or severe effects. The United States, under immense pressure, signed the treaty. Operation Popeye remains the first, last, and only time a nation has officially acknowledged using the weather as a primary tactical weapon in a major war. Today, the 54th Weather Reconnaissance Squadron is gone. The silver iodide flares have been decommissioned, but the questions raised by the storm finders remain. As our technology advances, the temptation to control the natural world only grows. Operation Popeye serves as a stark reminder. When we try to weaponize the sky, we aren't just fighting an enemy. We are fighting the planet itself. Please like and subscribe for more Vietnam War content.